Hello and welcome to Digging for the Truth with Ark and Neo, episode number 26. And tonight we're going to be talking about the Jaredite Advocate, the days of Jared. That's right, we have heard of the days of Noah, but have you heard of the days of Jared? The days of Jared came before Noah. These were the times when the Nephilim were actually on the earth, were falling, in the midst of falling, and intermingling with the seed of man and animals. So this is going to be a very interesting podcast. This was supposedly one of the very first secret societies against the Nephilim, and like many other secret societies, may have started out with good intentions and turned the opposite way somewhere along the way. So this is going to be an interesting podcast, digging into some things that many of you may not have heard about. I know I learned a lot on this podcast tonight, so we hope you enjoy. We also had a couple new Destiny Lab VIPs that have signed up at our Patreon page. If you haven't gone and checked it out, please do so at patreon.com/Destiny Lab. We got all kinds of behind-the-scenes information, footage, performances, stuff you can have access if you become part of our Patreon page. If you become a Destiny Lab VIP, you will actually pre-order our new album, receive all our old albums, plus you'll get a t-shirt and you'll get a shout out on this very podcast. A couple more people to give shots out to: Kevin Darr and Matt Walter. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you all for listening, and we hope you enjoy this podcast. God bless. Are you a truth seeker? Do you like hip-hop? Are you interested in all the mysteries of mankind and nature and asking all those life-examining questions that demand answers? Then it may be your destiny to check out DestinyLab.com, where you'll find music that glorifies God and exposes the very roots of the lies and deceptions that we face today. Issues like creation versus evolution, aliens and UFOs in the spirit realm, fallen angels and the Nephilim, transhumanism and artificial intelligence, the New Age and occult, the Illuminati, the New World Order, and how all these things tie into one cohesive story and one ancient plan that is explained in the Word of God. 3 CDs are currently available, with a 4th album in the works called Shift Your Paradigm. You can now download up to 4 new songs by going to patreon.com/Destiny Lab and pre-ordering that album, which will also get you downloads of Concocted Collabos 3, the best of Concocted Collabos. You will also get a new t-shirt. You can get downloads of all 3 of our previous albums. You can be the first to see videos before they're released publicly. If you go to DestinyLab.com, we also have a new forum where you can meet like-minded people and discuss some of the issues we talk about in our music. We have a new shop with hats, t-shirts, mugs for both Destiny Lab and Digging for the Truth. Anti-alien t-shirts, hats, and mugs are also available at DestinyLab.com. Please help support a ministry that is thinking outside the box. God bless you all for listening. And now, back to Digging for the Truth with Ark and Neo. Hello and welcome to Digging for the Truth with Ark and Neo, episode number 26. And we're back tonight to talk about the sons of Jared and some things that a lot of people don't know a lot about. I don't know a lot about this stuff myself, but Neo's done some information on what do you call it again? The Jaredite?
The Jaredite Advocate was the apparent publication they had out, and
Okay.
we'll get into that. But before we get into that, there's actually an update on what happened at our last podcast where we talked about the social score in China.
Oh yeah.
And that's becoming big in the news now, as we're doing this broadcast. But 2 other countries have joined them in this Mark of the Beast system, Venezuela and Iran. So now they are using that with their citizens. So, that's a rapid spread of, this system, which is probably the precursor to the Mark of the Beast.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, once that goes into Europe, then it's just going to be we're next in line, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and then if you start traveling to those countries, you
Yeah, they're going to
are
make it
you can
mandatory.
you just gonna have to submit to those things. Then it's gonna follow you, wherever you go. You can just imagine uh, the chaos and how
Wow.
quickly it could spread too. And most
Yeah.
people wouldn't even care. They just think it's another, just another thing they have to do.
Well, from what I've seen, a lot of people really like it. Like I've seen some interviews with people in China, and they're like, "Oh, I really love the new system and
Yeah,
how it works." And
it's more
because
fair.
yeah, well, and I think for a lot of people that are good people, they see it, and they've been so persecuted or maybe treated unfairly over the years that now they can prove, I guess, in a way to their government that, hey, we're worthy of, you know,
Yeah,
being able to, go to these different places or eat at these different restaurants or whatever things they
yep.
get.
Oh,
It's weird.
it'll be rolled out in a way that most people accept it and love it.
Yeah, the red
Oh,
carpet. They give them the
yeah.
red carpet treatment, and so they'll just
Oh,
think,
yeah.
"Ah, why wouldn't you?"
So we're talking about this mark of the beast, and um, one of the things that's kind of a paradox in the Bible is concerns this mark of the beast and being saved. There's two verses in Revelation 14, 10, and 11, that basically say that if you take the mark of the beast, you cannot go to heaven.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that just seems strange because the as you think of it, it seems like a paradox because you have to have died. If you die before you make the decision, then it's too late. But here it seems to be saying that once you take this mark, whatever it happens to be, you cannot
You're
be saved.
you're as good as dead.
Yeah. Um, so that's going to kind of tie into what we're going to talk about today because well, let me just read these verses for you first. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. So that last sentence right there, it goes about talking about these people being tormented in hell,
Yeah.
and then it says who are the people that are being tormented, and those who've received the mark.
Dang, that's not something you want to receive, I don't think.
Yeah. So,
People, wake up.
oh yeah. So some
That's
people have uh, brought up a end time scenario where uh, it would be there's a verse in Matthew that talks about that it'll be like the days of Noah, so shall be the coming of the Son of Man.
yep.
And what was the thing that caused the flood? And from our previous studies, we've deduced that it's pretty clear that it's a destruction or a manipulation of human DNA to create these Nephilim. And the Bible talks about this, and it seems that this manipulation by the angels to the human women, which created these hybrid offspring, we're back at that time frame where science can now manipulate DNA. And
Yeah.
just this week, they announced that they have designer babies that are out, and they're manipulating their DNA. And apparently, whatever they do to their DNA can be passed on to the next generation.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of time before that becomes just so mainstream as well that anybody who does not accept it will be looked at as crazy. So, I mean,
Yeah.
once they convince people and they show that people are smarter and don't have diseases and, live longer lives and, all these positive things that are going to come with something like that, uh, it's going to be really hard to stop.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And I think there's going to be a lot of infighting even within the Christian communities because, they are manipulating DNA, making something different. They do that with animals already. They've, have manipulated things, through just breeding genetically, breeding different things. We eat a lot of genetically modified food and different things. I mean, we're already changing our bodies. Our cells actually regenerate. What do they say? Every I can't remember what it is. Every
That's every
7
month
years.
or yeah.
Well,
Well,
no,
yeah.
your
The
entire
skin. Oh,
body,
your
your
entire body.
entire
Yeah.
body
Oh
change in
yeah.
its cellular structure, like to have completely different.
Yeah. I think 7 or 8 years, something like that.
Yeah, so your body, literally changes, and it's true. You are, and what is that doing to ourselves right now? So it's like people could argue, well, we've already been eating this food. Why not optimize our children? Where do you draw the line? Because you do want
Yeah.
healthy kids. You want kids that can live as long as lives as possible. You want your kids to be smart. All these things are like positive things from the outside looking in, and it's only
Oh
when
yeah.
you attach prophecy, but not knowing exactly what these prophecies means or exactly how they relate to technology and science is going to be the question in the battle, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And in this end time scenario, you're trying to tie it to the pre-flood conditions where there was all these hybrids and this genetic tampering that was going on that basically ruined the entire human race except for 8. Apparently, in Book of Genesis, it talks that Noah was perfect in his generations. So that implies that all the rest of the beings on the planet were hybridized somehow. Their DNA was manipulated, and God had to save uh, these 8 humans, which had pure DNA that hadn't been manipulated or um, perverted by
Yeah.
the angels or however they did it. And so, if that's what's happening, you could tie that somehow when the mark has something to do with a genetic manipulation,
Mm-hmm.
because a genetic manipulation produced these Nephilim, which could not be saved.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of people don't know this, but the Bible actually confirms this in an obscure verse in the Old Testament, Isaiah 26:14. So here's that verse. It's just a couple sentences. It says, "They are dead." Now, when they say they are dead, that word "dead" is Rapha, and that actually means giant. From the Rephaim, you probably heard that from the Old Testament. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going to put in the word Rapha there, and just that means a giant. A giant was one of the Nephilim. So here they are. They are Rapha. They shall not live. They are deceased. They shall not rise. Therefore hast thou visited and destroyed them, and made all their memory to perish.
Wow.
So when it says they shall not rise, that's talking about the soul ascending to heaven or to hell. Um, so apparently these giants, which are the Nephilim, which is the hybridized humans genetically manipulated,
Mm-hmm.
apparently these beings cannot rise. So it's a possibility that the mark somehow genetically manipulates you, that you in essence are like the Nephilim, and your soul leaves your body at that time, would be the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Or I know they've talked about people uploading their consciousness into a machine, and I could see something like that
Ah,
uh,
yep, Johnny
be
Depp.
similar. Yeah, exactly. What was that show called? Trans. what was that? Transcendence? Is that what that was called?
Transcendence. Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they're definitely preparing us for that type of idea, you know, the idea, and especially like in that movie where he's already going to die, you know,
Yep.
and we all have a death sentence in a way. So
Yep.
at some point, you know, if they started doing that and they found that, oh, these people actually, this is working, these people seem fine, they're loving living in the machine or uploading their minds into this avatar robot that they now indwell or whatever it seems to, whatever, you know, or clone or whatever they make. You know, once it becomes positive and seems to be working, then that's when everybody will just be like, you know, if I'm going to die, that's it. If the choice is to either die or take my chances uploading my consciousness into the machine, man, I might as well try it because
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know for sure if there's an afterlife. You know, I can hope that there's a heaven, but I don't know for sure. So this is something for sure. Let's do this. I mean, and that's what Satan's always tried to do. That's the whole scenario. And we talked about that before when he tried to do that back in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve.
Oh
He
yeah.
tried to get them to eat from the tree of life after they ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And that would have trapped them forever in their sin. And that's what the New Age always likes to talk about is creating heaven on earth,
Oh
creating
yeah.
this new paradise, this new man, this new world, this, you know, new age, this, you know, it's all about that same type of idea of making right here, right now, paradise, you know, and
Yeah.
and forgetting about any, you know, afterlife and just basically saying that that's all fake and doesn't matter.
Yep. Yeah. Now.
Removing God from the picture, basically.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's amazing that there's so many people throughout history that have, you know, they seem to be so evil in what they're doing that you wonder if they are soulless. And
Yeah,
you know, if the connection we just made with these giants that um, uh, some of these giants probably reproduced, and maybe their children weren't larger, but could that soulless nature be passed on?
yeah, yeah. Well,
So
and we're told that we entertain angels unaware. Are we
yeah,
entertaining fallen angels unaware as well? You know?
yeah, or you know, and is there Nephilim DNA around today? And the answer is probably yes.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know how much? You know, you got these you know, I've wondered about the DNA in me and 23 and me and all this stuff.
Oh yeah,
Um, that that's a huge psyop to collect as much DNA as they can from all these people in the world, because that's really the most valuable substance in the universe is DNA.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
information for life.
Well, and
And
they're connecting the dots big time with that for sure. I mean,
yeah,
my son took that test. He got one of those tests for Christmas from his uh, the in-laws,
yep,
and he took that test. And a couple months after he took it, he got contacted by somebody on Facebook saying, "Hey, I'm your fourth cousin. I found out through DNA something, you know."
yeah,
And people are contacting him through Facebook saying they're related to him. It's like imagine,
yeah,
you know, 50 years of that. If everybody was putting in their DNA, I mean, that would
yeah,
really
yeah.
connect everybody. It would be,
And you know what could they do? I mean, they could specifically target you or people like you with, you know, DNA killer bots they could send out that only attack your specific DM. They you know, it wouldn't necessarily be all good. They could use it for nefarious ways
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. I mean, these are the things that are setting the stage for making a world without secrets, a world of transparency where you, the option, if you don't do that, is, you know, complete control. So you have to have like a complete transparency. So, you know,
Oh yeah.
so everybody is known and you know who the bad guys are, because otherwise people have so much control to do something crazy that, you know, if you're not living in a world where everybody's being watched, that somebody could literally just create some virus in their home lab or, you know, create some
Yep.
mini nuclear bomb or some, you know, people are able now to get their hands on things that you never had access before too. And that opens up a whole new realm of like the government wanting more and more control and the
Yep.
public being willing to fork it over just through the scare tactics.
Yeah. Well, all this, the evil people throughout the ages, you wonder if this genetic manipulation that's been passed down. And you also wonder if there's been a group that's known about this, that we just kind of deduced about these Nephilim. If there's been an ancient group that's been fighting them because they know that the Nephilim are trying to corrupt the DNA of man, and the people that God's people, they know that this group is trying to thwart everything they want to do, and they are fighting them since the flood. So is this happening? Well, there's rumors of such a group, very scarce rumors, and this group is called the Sons of Jared, and they produced a publication called the Jaredite Advocate. And so you wonder if these sons of Jared. Now remember, the Jared was in the was in the line of Adam to Noah, and
that's really the days of the Nephilim. Is in the days of Jared, not the days of Noah.
Yeah, because it said in the days of Jared, they did come and mate with the women. That's basically what it says. And so I think that's how they got their name, is because Jared was probably the first person to, kind of anoint this knighthood, as it would be, to said, hey, these are enemies. The Watchers have came down. The Watchers are another name for the fallen angels, the evil angels, and they have produced a hybrid with our women. We've got to stop them. We've got to fight them. We can't let them do this. And I think that's where it began, and that's where the Sons of Jared kind of got its name, and its marching orders was pre-flood. So if this group has been going on, this would be the oldest group ever.
Wow.
And that's the claim. That's the claim, but it is very difficult to find some information about this.
The oldest secret society in existence, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so through the research that I've got, there's three groups. There's the original, which is what Jared, the pre-flood patriarch, commissioned. And then there's the new group, which came about in the 1960s, apparently, and said that they had been working behind the scenes, forever before that. And the last one is the Mormons.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah. So, and
okay. So is this something that they claim themselves, or?
Well, we'll get into that. We'll kind of look at the original now.
Is this a William Schnoblin claim? Was he?
No.
A Jaredite as well?
No, I don't. He may know something about it. If there's anybody that might, he may be the one. So, but okay. So here's what we know: that the Sons of Jared had a publication called the Jaredite Advocate, and only quotes exist of this original publication. That's all I could find. So did extensive research, dug in, found more and more info, but here's the ticker. There's an address. So one of the authors who used this, one of the Jaredite Advocate quotes, cited the publication because he said he had it in his position with an address if I could get it. So I'm going to give the address out. So if anybody wants to mail this and say, hey, I want to join the Jaredite Advocate, this would be maybe a cool thing to do. So it's P.O. Box 29026, Los Angeles, California. And the
And what is
quote,
it? What are you supposed to do?
I don't. That's the only tie to this being that this
No
of any
physical address,
physical.
just a
This
PO
is
box.
just a PO box. Yep. So I haven't sent a letter, but if somebody sends a letter, get a hold of us if you get a letter back. That would be very interesting. It kind of reminds me of, do you remember Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he had a publication, and people had to, it was hand delivered, and it was on typewriter paper. So, and the people had to send something to a PO box to get it. There was no way to contact Mel Gibson because he was putting out this conspiracy newsletter.
Yeah.
Well, so he did the exact same thing that apparently these sons of Jared did.
Well, it's like
So
that whole cicada thing. You ever heard about that? The cicada puzzle thing. They put out somebody put out some sort of like thing that was like a puzzle almost for like hackers to follow, and the person that actually figured it out in the end was like, I don't know, got some sort of job for the government as a hacker or something. I can't remember exactly what the whole story was, but it was all some sort of secret type of thing. You'd follow from one thing to another to another to another, and people are into anything secret.
Yeah. Well, so here's the quotes from the March 1965 publication. So who knows? Maybe they're still have these out, but you're sworn to secrecy, and so nothing's ever made it to the internet. But here's the quote. It says, "Gods and Spacemen in Ancient East" by. Oh, okay. Sorry. This is a quote from the book of by a guy named Raymond Drake. The book he wrote was "Gods and Spacemen in the Ancient East," and what he says in the what he says in his book for some of the information that he got that associated gods and spacemen was this quote from this Jaredite Advocate publication. He says, an American association, Sons of Jared, claims that Darius and his son Xerxes were Watcher Kings. So that's if they're Watcher Kings, that means that they are fallen angels who are actually on a crown, on a king's seat somewhere. And it's interesting because the 300, the movie that came out a few years back with Xerxes was
giant.
their king, and he was a giant.
Yeah,
he was what would be called a Watcher King. So I thought that was real interesting. That
now, don't they have actual depictions of the real Xerxes? The same thing, like on some giant throne like that.
Yeah. So, but it's just interesting that this guy quotes his information that he's using his book from this publication.
Wow.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And that was in the 60s.
Yeah, 1960. It's from March. It was their March publication. So apparently they came out monthly. March 1965 publication is when that came out.
Interesting.
Now, the author of that book that had that quote, this Raymond Drake, he was kind of into all the ancient astronaut stuff with von Däniken and Charles Fort, a couple other of these guys.
Chariots of the Gods.
Yeah, Chariots got all that stuff. And one of these other guys that is kind of associated with that, he has another link that might be actual physical copy of this publication, the Jaredite Advocate. So it says in UC Santa Barbara Library. So if anybody lives in Santa Barbara, California, if you can get to the library, you could try this. It's that in their special collections, they have what's called the Universal World Union or Sons of Jared in box 207, available upon special request.
Whoa.
So apparently the library in UC Santa Barbara has a collection. Now here's what's interesting. Notice that the name changed to Universal World Union. So apparently the Sons of Jared and this Universal World Union have either conglomerated or somehow they're connected.
Huh. Yeah. Offshoots of one another,
Yeah.
or just a different cover. It's like the Lucifer Publishing Company becoming the Lucis.
Yeah, Lucis Trust. Yep. Yeah. So apparently the two splits. So this is what we know about this Universal World Union. It was a California-based organization founded by AFSCA Associates, and I think that's American Flying Saucer something Association. These guys named Cletus Goffard, Joseph Cater, and Larry J. Wilsey. And they said that they dedicated their group to exposing the existence of the Watchers. And they reference the Book of Enoch. And they also, this group claims that they are the ones that briefly published their periodical that was called the Jaredite Advocate. So there might be another.
These guys are like the good guys, kind of fighting against the Nephilim. Is that what they're claiming?
Yeah, that's kind of what they're claiming. But when you follow the Universal World Union rabbit trail and their members, the guys that started it, it seems to turn into a bastardization of the original. So they're basically doing the opposite, because they go New Age and start looking for spacemen and UFOs, and it gets huge into UFO stuff. And again, and these founding guys, the Joseph Cater, he started the Amalgamated Flying Saucer Clubs of America. So, and he was a free energy researcher, a Saucerian, who was what I guess they called him. So who knows? I mean, maybe, but what these guys didn't seem to be, unless they were thinking that this possibility that the spacemen are the Nephilim, and that's been proposed in the before as well, that that they live on bases and different planets. So I don't know about that, but maybe that's what these guys were thinking, and maybe that's why they changed it.
Yeah, there's so many groups that are basically kind of the opposite. There's like the Sirius movement and the Raelians, all these people that are on the side of the aliens, kind of preparing the way for the Watchers to come and see more, associated with it. So this is interesting to know. There's some secret group kind of like fighting against it, or trying to expose it.
Well, and
who knows what they, maybe it's just, like you said, some sort of cover or double, like a double spy or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't know, but so those three that I just talked about, the Wilsey, they founded this Flying Saucer Clubs of America, the Amalgamated Flying Saucer Clubs of America. And so on their webpage from August 18th, 2000, this is what one of his quotes, and you kind of quickly realize why I think these guys basically became the opposite of what they're doing. This is what it says. The benevolent space people have told me that their goals are to help us bring about a peaceful, theocratic world government called the United World, to distinguish it from the limitations of the United Nations. The universal economic system will produce unimaginable peace, security, and abundance for everyone. Space Commander Ashtar calls these two factors the keys to the kingdom.
So you're talking about the Ashtar command.
Yeah. So
these guys are crazy. I mean, you heard about the
three,
whole Ashtar command thing that happened back in the 60s or something, where something took over the.
They hacked in the.
Yeah.
TVs.
I did an actual song. I'll have to play that at the end of this. I did a song called "Take Me to Your Leader." With a guy named Six Sense. He's like totally a new ager, and he argued kind of for the Ashtar command, and I actually argued against it.
Six senses like the spiritual scientist. I'm more like the alchemist. It's like working on your consciousness. Star nations are against the cabal. Intergalactic wars and solar signs from Venus, Saturn to Mars. The upgrades of humanoids, 11 universal laws, 7 human seeds with terrestrial genes. Biological fields created in golden eagle. 0-point energy diet theory when I start my sequel. The Eisenhower counters of the watches. Assembling ambient energy fields. Enduring Tesla shields. Indigo crystalline seeds. ADD, attention deficit disorders, really not a disease. Arrow wheels and arrow outlets. Idolize and doctrines is Babylon. It's when I start my topic. The star keeps a command. The star scholars, Darwinism, evolution of the fossil resin, giving man confusion. I think they're here trying to help to provide some protection against the planets that consist in Orion's belt. Mechanical movement from graves, space suits from the demons to make travel through domains in space. Willing left them behind and convicted in the grind. The justice of mortal sins, the path to break the paradigm. Moving in a danger age of lifetime. Crystal superstar seeds are made up from evil scientists. I gotta expect economy, close encounter, cultural therapists. Engineering, genetics, really not helping this. Now we all stand up and stand. To the globe, to the world, universe, we are the Astral Command.
Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Who is the master of this astral being your channeling? He speaks of peace by removing all duality. Aligns himself with astrology satanically. He mimics truth to attribute lies to prophecy. There's no consistency except with demonology. He's got philosophies or alien technologies. Study the names and the symbols that they're borrowing. They're all just following an ancient masquerade. Like Rael and Billy Meyer and the dead from Heaven's Gate. Examine all the plans from the Astral Command. They demand evolution and ascension of man. These fallen angels are the masters of deception. They teach enlightenment from dark evil dimensions. The grim, the rapture is a mass evacuation. Aquarian, 2012 reptilian invasion. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, take me to your leader, take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I.
So,
yep.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, you start reading what these guys became, you know, from claiming that they were the sons of Jared and, you know, fighting against the Watchers to now basically doing what the Watchers are telling them to see, to bring in this one world government system that is calling for peace. But, you know, it's amazing that what these guys believed. I'm gonna read you a letter because this has some really strange things in it from their. This is the flying saucer guy, one of their leaders. His name is Gabriel Green.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what it says: for almost 5 decades, through in-person or telepathic contacts, the space people have continued to share with their hundreds of contactees information about life on other planets, including their advanced technology and their social and economic systems that have created utopian-like conditions on their worlds. In addition, they now tell us that all presidents of the U.S. since FDR have been contacted in person by the space people, including the leaders of many other nations, urging them to tell our people about the reality of their existence and their friendly intentions and offer of help to resolving the problems of our world, which they have resolved on their own worlds for hundreds to millions of years ago.
Oh my gosh. How unique
Yeah.
I mean, it just sounds like Benjamin Creme. It sounds like, all these guys out there
Yep.
that come with these same type of lies, channeled information from
Yep.
demonic beings. They can never decide what their names are, where they're from, or what their exact storyline is, but they always know that they're against God, that they
Yep.
want a one world agenda, that we can all evolve into gods. It's always aligned to the same lie, but they can never decide who they really are.
Yeah. 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 This, this whole thing, but you can see that there seems to be like a mindset among the elite that kind of follows this.
Mm-hmm.
They're destroying everything. They think that if they can destroy the nations, the families, the patriotism, then they could bring in their own utopia. And it's just
Well,
it's
I think
crazy.
this is what this whole global warming and climate change thing is all about as well. Setting the stage to basically explain away prophecy. The Bible already tells us there'll be, earthquakes and storms and everything will come.
Oh yeah.
In increase during the end times, and that will be a sign of the seasons to come, and that we're supposed to look out for this stuff. Well, here it starts happening, and oh no, this is our fault. We did this. This has nothing to do with prophecy or anything different. We just did this through our own
Yep. Oh yeah.
gas guzzling cars and destroying the ozone and everything else. I mean, that's what I think it's all about, is basically setting the stage to be able to explain away all the crazy things that are going to be happening during the end times.
Oh yeah. So these four guys, they also said this. They have these articles of freedoms that they it was like their 10 commandments, I guess. And it was the Article 11. I didn't put them all down because it basically started just like the Georgia Guidestones. Have you ever seen those, where it acts like it's really good, and then it starts saying, "Yeah, we're going to kill mankind. We're going to do all this."
Yeah, kill 90% of people to keep it in perpetual harmony with Mother Earth.
Yeah. So they try to think it's good. Yeah, okay, just that one bad thing, but
yeah.
But this is what they say. They say, Article 11, freedom to have economic security by application of the universal economic system. So here they are saying you have to do an application into their system.
Interesting.
And then Article 12 says freedom to have, now listen to all this and what the leftists want right now. Listen to this. Freedom to have any and all other positive freedoms and benefits, which do not destroy or infringe on the rights of others, which the people can achieve by cooperative effort and or service to humanity, such as free food, clothing, housing, education, transportation, communication, insurance, entertainment, medical, and dental care.
Are you sure you're not on the Democrats DNC's website there?
Yeah. I mean, listen to that. That's what they're doing. I mean, literally,
it's exactly
take care of you, but you don't get any money, because that's basically what this says. That's their utopia. Yeah. So here we go. Their system is the Democrats are following a system by Ashtar Commander.
Yeah. Wow. And then when you ask them, well, how are they going to pay for it? And there's like, you just pay for it. You just do it.
You just put it on your credit card.
Yeah, you just do it. That's how. Yeah. That's literally what that one socialist lady said. She's like, you just pay for it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
So anyway, that group kind of went into the New Age a little bit, and here's some of the New Age beliefs that I found about the Nephilim. The Book of Enoch says that those born of the Nephilim blood, which is the reptile-human hybrids, are, because of their ancestral spirit, destined to afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth. In other words, those bodies can be possessed by their astral spirit, the reptilian of the lower fourth dimension. In the United States, this is an organization. Oh, yeah. Okay. I was going to stop there. So did you hear so that's what the new age.
Sounds like David Icke.
Yeah. So.
I mean, that's basically exactly what he taught.
Yeah.
I mean, or the elite bloodline of the Draconis. And he talked about, the hybrid reptilians and how it's all connected to these royal bloodlines and Anunnaki, all that.
But the New Age is also apparently interested in that Sons of Jared organization, because this in that research you find these New Age things constantly quoting from this group. So here's what they said. Sons of Jared, named after the father of Enoch, which is Jared, they pledge an implacable war against the descendants of the Watchers, who, as notorious pharaohs, kings, and dictators, have throughout history dominated mankind. In their publication, the Jaredite Advocate, they condemn the Watchers as like super gangsters, a celestial mafia ruling the world.
Whoa.
So
that's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how. I mean, that's what's so weird about the David Icke thing. It sounds just like what he taught, is that, there's this elite ruling class, you're going to fight against it. But then when you asked him, well, how are you going to fight against it? It's like, well, with New Age magic.
Yeah.
He basically to use the exact same stuff.
Yeah. We'll just be better than they are. Yeah.
Use the Force in a new way. White magic instead of black magic.
Yep. But
that's how a lot of these people out there that, don't have any biblical foundation, that's how they want to fight a lot of this stuff, is with the exact same thing that these people are into. It's like the people that go to the Bohemian Grove, like arguing that they want in to worship Molech.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because they want access to the owl so they can have power of them, I mean, it's just nuts.
Yeah. And all this stuff kind of gives you a little bit of insight of people that, don't have, a relationship with Christ. And they're just searching, and they get into this stuff, and a lot of the elite are into this stuff. I mean, they believe this stuff. And there's, we've had pods in the past about, Hitler trying to find this genetic material to make his Superman. And is that what the end times is all about? Is it really about genetic manipulation? I mean, we're getting close right now to just unbelievable things happening in our world. I mean, things are quickening right now.
Yep, exactly. Everything's speeding up.
Yeah, I mean, you see the globalists really picking up their attacks, and they're doing to the United States what they did to Europe with these caravans of so-called migrants that they're paying. Yeah, it's just a big scam that they do. They give them $1,000 every leg of the journey. Every time they go through a port, they get another $1,000. So it just keeps them going, and they promise them all this stuff. It's just used to destabilize a nation.
Yeah, I mean, they've proven it. You go into my Destiny Lab page there, I got a video posted where they show where a guy went down there, was just traveling with the caravan, and showed how they had the best medical attention traveling with them. They had food and water all given to them every step of the journey, bus trips, truck drive. I mean, these people were basically held by their hands the entire way by these place called People Without Borders. And what does that sound like? People Without Borders. Oh, wow. How original. The same lie, the one world agenda, the idea that we don't need any borders, that we all need to have United Nations, United World, one leader. I mean, it's like, can you not be more blatant in your connection to the Luciferian agenda. I mean, just admit you guys are Luciferians already.
Yeah. 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 And I think it's, the evil that's happened on our planet is always by elite. I mean, they gain power, and it seems to be just, diabolical, some of the things that happen and they do.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, you're reading Ecclesiastes and Solomon, it's like when somebody has everything that they want, and they've, the story of Solomon is he basically had every concubine he could have in the world. He built palaces and gardens and all these beautiful palaces. He just had anything and everything that he had for his heart's desire. And so he just kept going after all these things. And one of the things was, going after secret witchcraft based stuff, getting into the dark arts of things, and that seems to be like you said, that once people have gone through everything there is to accomplish, they think they have to find something secret or, push themselves to this point where they, face the things that they hate or the things that they're afraid of. It's like they call it I don't know if you heard him talk about the hero's journey. Is a big, that's Kanye West said that about Trump when he met with him. He's on his hero's journey.
Yeah.
The hero's journey is a big kind of new age kind of idea where you meet yourself and kill your, ego basically, or your inner man, or die, your inner self dies. And this is what people talk about when they have these ayahuasca trips. They're brought to the edge of the abyss and told to jump in, and that's living is once you kill yourself, you die to yourself. And so, and that's the same idea with Luke Skywalker, and he goes into the cave and he sees him, cuts off the head, and it's his own head. All these kind of things are put within the storylines of movies over and over again. And I think Joseph Campbell was a big people followed him big time, and he talked a lot about that.
Yeah, almost all the movies have that same, 12-step plan, of getting help, divine help, or getting help, and then you refuse, and then something happens that gets you back into it. It's always the same thing. And once you actually look at that and you start watching movies, it becomes so predictable that
yeah, exactly. Well,
you're like, oh, what?
It's like all the superheroes. They all have their parents die, or their mom or dad dies, and then they have to go after that person. I mean, it's always the same exact storyline. I've seen a couple videos on it where they show the parallels, and it's exactly the same over and over and over again.
Yeah. So I teased the last group, the Mormons. So
yeah. Well, they talk about the Jaredites, don't they? Still, talk a lot about that whole thing.
It really, I don't think it's the same thing at all. I don't think the Mormons think it's the same thing, but there is some interesting things to it. I kind of went down it, so I thought I'd just go over it, and so you can kind of get a little better understanding of what
I can see how
Mormons believe.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how Joseph Smith, see what he was, a huge occultist Freemason into all these secret societies, and all of the symbols and signs and traditions and rituals they go through at the Mormon church are all based in, Freemasonic and secret society things. So I wouldn't be surprised if he carried over the same, maybe he was involved with some Jaredite information back then. And then
well, I mean, it was just interesting enough that I kept going, and I don't know if it's connected, but it could be. So the Mormons, the Jared that they talk about was alive during the time of the Tower of Babel, and Jared's tribe basically, when the Lord confused the language, they went to America along with the Nephites, the Jaredites and the Nephites. So Jared, according to the Mormons, brought 4 stones down from the mountain, and these stones basically turned into like flashlights. They were like magical sunstones where they would give off light. So, and Jared had 4 sons, and he brought 22 friends, and and his brother was with him, and they were going to go from the Middle East across the Atlantic Ocean to America. That's how they got to America. So the Mormon story was that, and so Jared had 4 sons, 22 brothers. But here's what's interesting. I was almost ready to stop when I got to this, but then this came out. It said, and the brother of Jared, being a large and mighty man, and a man highly favored of the Lord. So
that sounds like Nimrod.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and he was a large man too. And then it says Jared and his brother went to the valley of Nimrod, being called after the mighty hunter. So
it is Nimrod.
it just it kind of you're going, what? Because a lot of people say that Nimrod, even the other was a Nephilim. He was a Titan.
He was the first Freemason too. They say he started a lot of the alchemy and Freemasonry or something definitely going on there, more than just building the tower.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And because he was trying to get to God, and who knows, that would we talked about this extensively in some of our previous podcasts, but we talked about that first generation Nephilim would be much mightier if it followed the what's called the hybrid vigor concept, where the first time that you intermix 2 species, like a tiger and a lion, where it makes a liger. Ligers are much larger than either of their parents, but they don't pass it on. They actually get worse after they pass it on. So you wonder if the same thing. Yeah, you wonder if the same thing is with if with Nimrod's children, they were a little less than him, and then it just got worse and worse.
Yeah,
and maybe
but that DNA traits would still be within the bloodline.
Yeah,
some way.
Yeah, but anyway, so Jared, his brothers, they went across the sea in flying saucer type barges, and they lighted their way with those 16 stone flashlights that came from the volcano. So apparently that's how they got it across the ocean.
Crystal worshiping UFO craft.
So Jared's brother received 2 of these stones, which were sealed and hidden, the Urim and the Thummim, which were given to the brother of Jared upon the mount, and when he talked with the Lord face to face.
And they talk about that in Freemasonry is the.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, I really haven't read any Mormon. I mean, they use the Christian Bible, but they've added a bunch of books like what I'm reading here. This is scripture, but this is what the Mormons believe. And they believe this is the new, the Book of Mormon. That's the new Testament, I guess.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, apparently, they got to America, and when they got to America, there was one more strange story about Jared that was kind of weird too. So anyway, they got the Urim and the Thummim, which is in the Bible, but I think that's one of these little things that Joseph Smith did, is he put all these treasures that came over to the New World. We have these treasures with us. We have the Urim and the Thummim because Jared got them here. So, and then it also says, and behold, I've written upon these plates the very things which the brother of Jared saw, and there never were greater things made manifest than Jared, than that, basically. So anyway, Jared's daughter saved him when Jared got captured by an evil king in America called Achish. And basically what his daughter did is she formed a secret combination. This is what it says, a secret combination, even as they of old, which combination is most abominable and wicked above all handed down from Cain.
Wow.
So that's kind of weird. So
So
again, this is
secret combination. This is how she fought the Nephilim.
this is how she saved her father Jared from another king. And what this secret combination is that was handed down from Cain. Again, it's the same thing. It's secret knowledge handed down from the most ancient
some sort
of times.
Witchcraft or alchemy.
Yeah, and Cain and Abel, everybody knows that story.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, I don't think that the Jaredites for Mormons were related to the sons of Jared.
Yeah.
But
well, you can see how a lot of people get into the whole, I've heard so many different offshoots of things like this that, I just don't know. Like I've heard that Cain, of course, you've heard the story that Cain is the son of Lucifer.
Yeah.
And basically that's how it all began is at that split. And that it's like a foreshadowing of like Jacob and Esau, where he had the red hair and was hairy, and the whole red head and the giants and the Nephilim. And, there's a lot of like, almost like foreshadowings or overlaps of different information. But, the Bible does that a lot with stories, but you don't know what it's a parable toward. It's kind of like, Abraham and Isaac and Jonah and the whale and their correlations to Christ, and the connections of how their stories kind of relate. So.
Yeah. So, I just a conclusion. I don't know if any of this was even real, if there was a group, but I think we should be aware that this genetic tampering that's happening today could mean that we do have to do some battle, with some very strange things that haven't been seen in thousands of years.
Yeah.
And all these conspiracies and those kind of things, there's those little rabbit trails, but there are some things that we believe are coming down the pipe that are going to be very nefarious. It seems to be that a lot of these things are coming to us very quickly, and we can, we've been talking about the mark of the beast, and that, this social score from China now in 2 other countries. In 2020, China is going to make it mandatory for all their citizens. That is very fast, because once you get a system like that in place and everybody's used to using it, I mean, it's just
can't go back.
Yeah, I mean, the system is there. It may not be, maybe working through the phone and all the cameras everywhere, but they're right now they're already tagging people just with their facial recognition.
Yeah.
The cameras can tell who you are just by walking.
Yeah.
That's how fast these cameras are in China. So you don't even need a mark. You don't need a barcode or anything. They can just look at your face.
Yeah. But you can see where once they do implement some sort of mark or encoded thing that's literally, monitoring your heartbeat, monitoring your breathing, your health. And that's how they could package it is, hey, this is something you just put this tiny chip in you. It's for everybody's safety. If you ever get any health problems, this will monitor your heart condition. This will monitor all your health problems. And if you ever get start being a respiratory or cardiac arrest or respiratory problems or anything, immediately send help for you. It's just like, you can see how they could just package something like that. It's like the whole I've fallen and I can't get up. And they're wearing the mark around their neck. It's kind of a precursor to it, but it's kind of scary, but that's kind of like how it could be seen is cell phones and, 911 and, the old people's can't fallen or I've fallen and I can't get up things. All these things are like setting the stage to have people welcome.
Most people will. I think you're right. Most people will. Now the 10 rules of the sons of Jared apparently survived. So
okay, let's hear
this is what it says. Number 1, that there were giants in the earth in those days and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, that these giants offspring of the Watchers, upon their physical destruction, yielded up demonic spirits, which through shape-shifting disguise have constantly plagued the good people of this earth. Number 2.
Sounds like I'm right on board with them.
Yeah, and I'm right there too.
Yep.
Number 2, that Enoch, son of Jared, walked with God in imitation of Enoch and as foundation of our spiritual battle. We greet each day with a brisk walk whenever possible. When we do this, we are not walking alone, for even when alone, God walks with us. Number 3, that women are creatures of beauty and a delight to behold. We are ever chivalrous towards women, and we follow the knightly code. Number 4, that there are so many laws that it has become impossible to truly know what is the law. We therefore beg the U.S. Congress to take an inventory of the present laws and to unwrite superfluous laws.
I like that.
Number 5, that all men of whatsoever faith are welcome in our organization, accepting not accepting only Satanists and, depending on specifics, atheists. An organization battling evil spiritual forces cannot welcome Satanists who belong with the very forces we oppose. An organization waging spiritual war cannot generally welcome atheists who depend on specifics, do not believe in a spiritual realm. Number 6, that television is to be avoided since it is harmful physically, mentally, and spiritually. So,
that's interesting that they would make that one of the rules. That's weird.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to stop right here because it gets more silly. Because this is
Dang, I liked it right at the beginning.
Yeah, well, I think they got the first one right to get people reading the rest, but it's from the Conspiracy Nation website. And they actually did an extensive search for the Sons of Jared, and they came to my same conclusion that they probably existed for a very short time, but there's no evidence that they had existed from pre-flood times. So anyway, they put this together as kind of a spoof, but
I see.
They did put some pretty cool things on there.
Yeah,
so
now there's people just imitating the ideas, and that's kind of how they get people in, and that's how Satan always works, is he tags a little bit of truth to hook you in.
Yeah.
And then once he got you in, then he twists it and inverts it to something else.
Yeah. But yeah, you can see where the where the global left elite, they are big time into the occult.
Oh, totally.
They know about this stuff, and I think we're coming at a time where with China, and I'm seeing it a little bit on Google right now, that Google is just starting to censor things from the internet. You just can't find things.
Yeah. Well, that's what's scary about the whole censoring thing, is their idea of doing it is we are dissecting so we can only have things that are true. We want to get rid of all the stuff that's false, so people will only be able to find truth
through them. Whatever they say is the truth.
Whatever they say is truth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's so scary about it is, this censorship is kind of the first step toward, a world without secrets, because you start censoring enough people and you have, no voice of your own, or can't really say it. And then you're just, the only way they could allow freedom of speech is just through, we need to know everything you're talking about, everything you're doing, everything you're saying, and we want to make sure you're really that person, because there's so much identity theft and people claiming they're someone and not that person, that we need to know it's really you. So I mean, you can just see how so many things are bringing us toward this same conclusion of this prophecy in the Bible. I mean, it's fully explained. It's just so crazy that it's happening right before our eyes.
Yeah, there's a lot of things coming about very quickly.
Yeah, and that's what the Bible says. Once it starts happening, it'll happen really quick.
I think that's what I think that's what we'll cover in our next few podcasts is the prophetic nature of what's happening right now. I mean, I think some things have literally happened.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely people are changing. You know, I think people en masse, it's like almost a new spirit has been unleashed on the world, and people are reaching this new level of hysteria and this new level of demonic oppression and possession that's just I haven't seen before.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% there.
So interesting.
Yeah, interesting talk, and I think things are coming down the pipe that we need to be aware of.
That's right. Yep. Like you said, it's like the days of Noah, and maybe that'd be a good song to close us out with. Got a song called The Days of Noah, so we'll close out with The Days of Noah, and until next time.
Good night.
All right.
These guys are going to be released in the future again. The return of the Nephilim, the fallen angels, the gods themselves with a small g. They are coming back during the apocalypse time.
Bone-cracking hits to rip like the beaks of a griffin, with sharp pointy tips and the grip of a falcon, grasping with grappling talons and worn on medallions of battling Scythic and nomad. So many masterfully sculpted renditions, artistically marvelous, monstrous visions, descriptions of possibly authentic dragon-like animals, fossilized mandibles gradually formed by the annual downpours and rainfalls, exposing mysterious samples. Examine examples like cylinder seals, revealing the secrets of serpents unveiled by ubiquitous snaps of a snapdragon. Sounds serendipitous, just like the epic of Gilgamesh. Several conspicuous mythical beasts could exist, and in fact they could actually be crossbreeds from angels who planted the seeds, non-indigenous demons hungry to breed. In the days of Noah, read from the book of Enoch, in the path of giants, revealing Nephilim hybrid. What would we see in this antediluvian world full of giants if we could go back and observe all the things in the lost book of Enoch and eavesdrop on Nephilim hybrids? Their fathers who flocked in a pack of 200 deserters, these tyrants who plundered like pirates and lusted for flesh in a cycle of violence. They squandered like pigs in the mud of defiance, abnormal like Dr. Moreau in his science. Monsters without any use of a latex appliance, a vile alliance of violent Goliaths, drowned and deluged by the flood into silence. Desirous delinquents, they lost their commission. Now Lucifer's legions, they've turned into demons, chained and blinded and bound in abyss, living with locusts deep in the pit. In the days of Noah, read from the book of Enoch, in the path of giants, revealing Nephilim hybrid. Memories lost from a time in our history. Should we be blind to the mystery, willingly ignorant to the reality? Fallacies formed by fallacious facsimiles, angelic offspring conspiracies, possibly aliens visiting, revealing sinister enemies, posing as saviors with remedies, entering mental capacities, cavities. Demons are grabbing our faculties, abducting sanity, offering new age mentalities, fraudulent